finally cooling down.
Howdy, howdy. We're live. I'm here with Tuck again. I think we might have a odd show to talk about tonight. I was talking about the salmon. There's a video that surfaced out of China that showed them taking and staining salmon pink, rotten fish, and you can't tell the difference. I mean, it even covers up the smell, and it shows how they do that. So I mean, the salmon that we're getting in the supermarket right now is basically rotten catch.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, in the cans.
Chinese got to make $1. Can't lose on anything.
No, they can't. I mean, it's been a growing huge issue with like the food market. They were doing that with like hamburger meat and things like that. But yeah, so. But anyway, go ahead.
Have I ever told you my story of how I learned how to haggle?
Haggle. No, maybe. Hell, I don't know.
Okay, so, when I was in San Francisco, I learned how to haggle from some people that were kind of explaining me the process. Essentially, what you do is it's like a favorite pastime. You go into Chinatown, you know that all the bags or everything that they do is overpriced. So you know that the real retail price is half of whatever they're asking. They're just waiting for some sucker to come in there and pay full retail price. So if you know how to haggle, you go in there and you see a $10 bag, you say I'll give you like five. You say I give you seven, and they'd be like, no, I need nine. It's like no, I do seven, and they'd be like, no, I need full price. And so you turn around to walk out, and if you make it more than a step and a half, you lost. But most of the time, before you even start on that second step, they're like, okay, $7. You know, that's the art of commerce when you're dealing with the Chinese. Is it's all about haggling and trying to like squeeze every fucking penny out of there, and they'll take advantage of your ignorance every day of the week because it means more money in their pocket. Yeah. And so if when you go deal with certain cultures, you got to know how to haggle with them.
Well, actually, I don't know if that will play a interesting role in tonight's discussion, but the culture definitely will. Okay, here's the thing, guys. We are approaching something very strange, and it's going to affect us all, and it's something we can't run away from.
What is it?
The El Nino. Now, last time it wasn't that bad. This time, they're calling it Monster El Nino. They're calling it Godzilla El Nino. They're saying it will be the worst it has ever been on record. You know, the other day I said it won't be as bad as the one since 1950. Well, this time they're saying now that it's going to be far worse than anything we have ever seen. That the 21st century has ever seen.
What is making it bad?
Just the heat index, the climate, the way it changes everything. It's like the world has went into apocalyptic overdrive.
Like 6 seasons, right?
Huh?
It's like 6 seasons now.
6 seasons. What we're talking, massive heat waves, drought, things like that. You know, the last time we had an El Nino that was kind of bad, I think like 50 million people died.
Oh, that's nothing when you're talking about billions.
Yeah. Well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's a little more than that. Hold on. How many people died during That ain't what we want. No.
I wouldn't think 50 million people
Yeah, it
died.
was a lot. It was. It was. Yeah, 50 million people
What, globally?
globally. The Super El Nino of 1877 to 1878 killed what was the most deadliest one on record. It killed 20 million to over 50 million people. The one in
Okay, that's
1997 to
significant.
1997 to 1998 killed 250,000 direct deaths and another indirect deaths from flooding, landslides, disease outbreaks, and then we had localized disasters. See, this will go on and on and on, and we're not talking just like one thing. We're talking like an insurgence of viruses. We're talking an insurgence of bug population, mosquitoes, malaria. We're already starting to see it in like now we're starting to see a upshift in like virus and stuff. You already have the WHO declaring a Ebola outbreak. I mean, we're starting to see this with the hantavirus, and various other things. And there's already like weird viruses. There's one running around now called horse rot. It's a STD that is affecting gay men apparently. I saw it today.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a bunch of weird stuff that has come out on the virus scene, and that's nothing compared to what we could see. The oceans are heating up, so some of the fish are going to die, if not all of them. I mean, we went through that. We went through one of those spells, but the main thing when I'm pushing toward here, El Nino. What knocked out the Mayan civilization was El Nino. That's what triggered it all. That was their end times. See?
Okay, where is this information coming from?
Well, I mean, one, it's in the historical record. Two, if you go back and you look at, there's actually a movie made by Mel Gibson. It's called Apocalypto. And Apocalypto is they base it on it's based on the Mayan civilization, the jaguar paw, the Fowler flint, stuff like that, and the whole thing, the whole grounding behind that thing, trying to appease the gods and everything else, it was because of an El Nino. The original name for the movie is Apocalypto El Nino.
Okay, hold on a second. Because you know me, I always talk about Meyer.
Yeah.
He actually said something about this. He said that the Mayans went extinct because they had imbalanced themselves, and the red people came out from out of the earth and wiped them out.
Well, I mean,
Which would
the
probably
red
be
people
our
was
current day
Spanish, but
Native
still,
Americans.
but still, there were factors. There were factors. I mean, you have to think about the whole of civilization. What happened to make all these little things that the Mayans were not like like one thing caused one thing, and when they said that when they wrote this stuff down, they expected the same thing to happen to them that's going to happen to everyone on 2012 or so, we thought. But see, last year there was a scientist that come about. I mean, we're not talking about like one of these quacks and somebody like me or the rest of the goon squad on the internet. We're talking a legitimate scientist that was looking at this stuff, and he said he thought, and his team and assistants and everybody thought that they got they got the 13th doctrine wrong. They thought it was actually supposed to be 2026. Now, this was talked about there for a little while. People had argued it, talked about it, and then it kind of got lost in the shuffle. But there is a possibility, and I'm just saying possibility, that the stuff is in line. The stars are in line. the 2012 prophecy could be happening now. I don't know. All I'm saying is we have the El Nino on the table. We know it's going to get bad. We know it's going to be worse than anything we've ever saw. And it's going to affect a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, this is what I've been worried about. Yeah, it's gonna get worse and worse and worse every year until we balance out the fucking earth.
They believe as the world ages that there will be these issues. This is the great cycle, the long count of life. And they're not the only ones. There's other cultures and stuff that believe this, that believe these things happen. Now there's another subgroup of people that believe that no, they didn't get the date wrong. Something changed the date. And this is where stuff gets a little sticky. Do you... how do I want to go? How do I want to say this? Let's see. Okay, I want to start with this question. And I want you to actually think about it. Each and every one of you. The people that will listen to this, the people that's listening to it now, you talk, I want you to listen to this. I want you to think about it. How do you know? How do you actually know that you are in the correct timeline? Now, I'm serious. What's your evidence? What's the test? If someone handed, I know, it might though. If someone handed you a brochure and says, congratulations, you are in timeline A, the original, the primary, the real one, what would that look like? What would it say? Now, I have been thinking about this for about 2 years now. 2 years since I saw the cornucopia, the thing with the Haynes fruit, on the label, because apparently it didn't exist. And I'm starting to see individuals post and talk about things and stuff that like, well, I thought I did this. I thought, like the Doritos guy today, the one I sent to you. Did you watch it?
I didn't get a chance.
Okay, well, basically what that boils down is this guy on YouTube, like me and you, he made a joke video about Doritos that had these flying pigs and everything else. And everyone that saw it when he released it later on, he says, oh, well, we've already seen this. Dorito put this up. So this was back 2012 or something like that. Or maybe it was after. But anyway.
Yeah, I remember the flying pig Doritos.
Well, that was never released. Never. In our current whatever. Doritos says it was never released. No one. Nothing. And this guy is losing his fucking mind. This guy literally thinks that Doritos, either one, Doritos has stole his commercial somehow, or two, that he's on another freaking timeline.
Wait. So he's saying he wrote the commercial and it's no longer there?
No, he wrote the commercial. The commercial's there on his computer. He shows the commercial on that video. I sent it to you. He shows you him making the commercial. He shows you like the behind the scenes and everything else, and he talks about it. He says, I don't know how this happened. He said there was a contest, on TikTok or something, and he says, well, we were supposed to show this. We were supposed to make these funny commercials for Dorito, but Doritos was not supposed to use them. It was only supposed to be there. He says every time you uploaded it, it says, can't post promotional content. He's like, what's going on here? Well, these people, when he loaded it to his website, and when he loaded it to his other TikTok channel and his YouTube, he's like, all these people say, well, we've seen this. We've seen this years ago. And it's like, and people were describing it, scene by scene. And so they know, they've seen this. They know, they and this isn't the only thing that I've seen people that come up. Now, either all these people are lying about this whole Mandela effect or whatever else, or they're misremembering, or they did these things, and this guy sold that commercial and didn't realize he sold that commercial to him.
Dude, I've had that happen to me on certain things. Like, I know it was there. I remember reading it. Go back, it's not there. It's like, dude, I fucking remember reading this shit. I remember almost verbatim. Where is it? Can't find it.
Yeah. I'm trying to get permission from the guy to let me use it, and I'll show it, but I don't want to. The guy's already been hit by somebody, so I don't know what it is. But I mean, this is a phenomena. And I'm using that word carefully here. I'm not saying conspiracy theory. I'm saying phenomena. And it's called the Mandela effect, named after Nelson Mandela, who a significant percentage of the global population remembers dying in prison in 1980s.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't die in prison. Not a fringe group, not people who, confused once, but people who have vivid memories.
I thought they had like riots in the street over that shit.
Yeah, they had funeral footage, news coverage. They watched his children. There was a specific sadness to it. He did not die in prison. He was released in 1990 and became president of fucking South Africa and won the Nobel Prize. He died in 2013 at 95, surrounded by family. Huh?
That's what I remember.
Yeah.
I remember that. I don't remember him dying in prison, because I would have been too young. I do remember him, like, a big thing about Nelson Mandela and everything else like that. Like, it was a big thing in South Africa. I remember how much fucking hoorah it made in the news.
I mean, I've had people. I've had people. You can go back and you can read like old news articles and stuff like that of people talking about him dying in prison. That's how bizarre it is.
Wow.
Yeah. So either all these people had false memory or the same wrong movie. I don't know.
Maybe, because the CIA has been known to do stuff like this, where they will post an article as an authoritative article, so that other agencies pick it up. So therefore, they put information out, so that therefore they have it there as their own propaganda, so that they can muddy the waters.
Now I'm gonna say what the show was originally called. Now, the current title is El Nino Apocalyptic, the end of the man civilization. May have got the date wrong, 2012 now. But originally, it was supposed to be Slipping Through the Collider. I didn't realize the whole Mayan bit until I started looking at dates that I had researched for the article. And then I started seeing stuff about the El Nino. And like right before you called me, I was like, okay, this is weird. And I watched a show on the BBC, and they were talking about the El Nino, and they were talking about how bad it was going to be this year. And then I'm like, okay, is there something here? Is there some reason why I need to look at this? So I start looking, and I start researching, and I start going, and I find the Mel Gibson thing, and I remember the Mel Gibson thing. I'm like, okay, yeah, there's a reason he done that. And then they talk about it in the 2012 phenomenon. This is what they would experience. They were heavily dependent on corn food, stuff like that. And, if the heat come and droughts and stuff, they would have starved. They would have gladly let the Spaniards in there, the red people, as you said. And, everything bad happened, and their people died. But here's the thing. If you go and look, we're starting to experience our own little thing. Shipping costs are astronomical. Okay, gas, everything else, all their wars and conflicts and things like that. Walmart is doing away with their self-checkouts.
How? Why?
They said that they're wanting to take on the Amazon block model. So, you're not going to be able to go into Walmart here soon. Here within, they're starting to phase them out now.
The Amazon block. Okay, I don't know what that
That
is.
basically you order online or you order.
Oh, you mean like how they did the store where you just go in there to try it out, just like for clothes and stuff like that to make sure it fits?
Well, no, I mean, no, they're talking like you order online. There's
Oh,
hubs.
wow.
There's hubs. Like the Walmarts that you see around now will eventually be turned into like warehouses. If they keep them. Um, and then they would utilize like that was the whole experiment behind the whole delivery system and the whole like DoorDash and these other companies. They were looking to see, studying to see if they can actually provide a service to individuals, by point and click, and they could. So this is what you're gonna experience. You're gonna the fall of the big stores. I mean, that's coming. And
Hold on. When did the Mayans civilization collapse?
well, hold on. It collapsed. I'm gonna be exact on it. Now, see, it ended, the classic Mayan collapse ended in 900 CE.
So that's after AD, right?
Yeah. And,
Okay.
and then they were experiencing, now see, from 900 CE to 1519, they were experiencing that, these heat waves, these droughts. This is why they collapsed, because they couldn't feed their people. They couldn't, all this stuff was going on. Civilizations shifted. They had, people were moving. They couldn't take care of, the cities. I mean, think about what would happen in the United States if these places couldn't get water and these places couldn't get gas and these places could get stuff like that. People would leave. People who stayed, they definitely wouldn't make it very long. So when the Spanish come in 1519, they more or less welcomed them in, and the European disease and Spanish disease went ahead and finished them off. So, you can either say the 900 CE or you can say 1519 through 6.
I caught an article probably 4 or 5. I came across an article maybe about 5 years ago that says about 10,000 years ago, about the time of the Phoenicians, that there was a widespread famine which led to an economic downturn and a global war, which basically was an extinction level event. It wiped out like 80% of the population, and that's what I've been hearing that we're on the way to doing, because we seem to find it out in our history just as we're about to experience it ourselves.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe we are. I mean, see, one of the biggest things, and see this. I mean, this is why I was saying it doesn't matter about climate change, because it's something that actually happens. It's because that every so often, the Earth goes through a change, a shift, or whatever, and there's this mega drought, and this mega drought is what dries up things and moves everything, moves population, kills a bunch of people, and the death during that time was far more than anything that we have on record. I mean, and it was punishing. It was gradual. It was painful. I mean, for a culture to shift and start sacrificing people to the gods to hope that they will get a little bit of rain, that's some madness there. But the Yucatan shows evidence that there was a 200-year drought from 800 to 1,000. And then there was one that lasted 7,000 years. We might be approaching that.
I used to be like a climate change denier. I used to be, and I think what kind of changed my mind was reading some of what Meyer was putting out, because it was like, okay, yeah, here, I challenge you to change my mind. And the way he puts it, which makes sense, that you're right, that the earth does go through all these natural changes, but the changes are slow and gradual, not extreme and fast.
Well, no, wait a minute. I mean, they're not. There's extreme points. There's like these times within history that they become extreme. Like they gradually build up. We know about it. We can detect it. We see it. We have been seeing it. We know we're headed towards something, and then you finally get there. And I think that this year. I mean, toward the end of the year, by now, I think we're going to see it here this summer. I think we're seeing it now, actually. It is the beginning of this. I mean, you mark my words, this year is going to be horrible when it comes to heat. It's going to be horrible when it comes to storms. It's going to be horrible about things. You're going to see crazy amounts of livestock dying.
Experiencing it.
Huh?
Have you not heard all of the shit I've been complaining about? I've been through fucking 2 tornado warnings, 3 deep freezes. It was -5 one day. 3 days later, it's 90 fucking degrees.
I know. I'm just saying that this is
I'm living in this shit.
I know you're living in the shit, but this is gonna be light, man. That's light stuff. That's easy stuff. I mean,
Really?
we're talking like full on blowing back Twister and Tornado Alley here. They're probably gonna have tornadoes up in Canada, or do they? I don't know. But I mean, we're not just talking about here. We're talking about all over the world. And I know I got viewers from God knows where. But I mean, I'm just saying this. I think we are entering a cycle of the planet that we have not been here in a very, very long time. And this is bad. I think we may have got the dates wrong. I even think that we may have friggin' jumped the timeline, and somebody knew this shit was coming, and they tried to stop it, or they tried to delay it. They knew they could, because guess what else happened in 2012?
What? Oh wait, the Federal Reserve got a 100-year charter.
Nah, that wouldn't do the timeline jump, brother.
No, but see, that's the thing, is that was one of the big things that happened, because December 21st, 2012 was when the Federal Reserve charter was up, because they did a 20-year charter, did the Great Depression, got an 80-year charter, then now they've got a 100-year charter that was just renewed in 2012 December.
Okay. Now that was the...
Yeah.
I'm over here looking at the thing here. I'm trying to think. Okay, now that was all the weird stuff. There's like a lot of weird... Yeah. Now see, December 21st was when, all that was supposed to pop off. Okay? That's the date everybody, thinks of when they think about this. The things they don't think about, unless you're like hardcore conspiracy, or you're hooked on certain things that happen. You had the Sandy Hook stuff. You had some of the stuff that happened in New Delhi that was horrible. I mean, there's not a reason to revisit that stuff. But the thing is, we need to get to the one thing that I think triggered every single bit of this.
The Sandy Hook thing, was that Sandy Hook, Maryland?
Yeah. That's
I'm walking right by that tomorrow.
That is the thing that the reason why Alex Jones is basically losing his his
Yeah, he just lost his
livelihood,
home.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, now you
I think what they did was just I think that what they did was lawfare, and that was cruel and unusual punishment.
well, I mean, maybe a lot of it was bad. A lot of it was wrong. The whole thing was
I don't
wrong.
like Alex Jones at
But I
all.
mean, I don't like.
Unreasonable.
Alex Jones is what he is. But I do not think that people who are trying who saw patterns and things like that should be, um, you know, sure you can call them out. Sure you can do everything possible to them. And no, you shouldn't go and like say bad stuff about, people's kids and moms and things like that. I'm just saying is, if you saw something, you should probably say it. But
Well,
now,
no.
but we are entering into time now when they're talking about passing laws where it's going to make even me being able to do this or you being able to do what you do impossible.
Okay, you keep talking about this, and since we're not doing it on my channel, maybe we could do it here. Because you and I have been talking about the homeless issue and like Georgetown and kind of like how they're doing things with Social Security and stuff like that. If you want to, I think that would be a good topic.
We will go into it. I mean, I'm going to um uh but we will talk about that off stream, and then we'll figure out how to word it and phrase it, and
Okay.
and then we will go from there. I'd like to get in touch with some of those people that I was talking about that I got in contact with. Well, I mean, that I read about and see what they're talking about, and see what they're. We need multiple viewpoints here, and seeing what's going on with that area and the surrounding area. I'm sure it's not just Georgetown. I'm sure it's the cities and stuff that worm itself out of DC. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a good story there.
Well, yeah, and I've got my own stats. If Verizon sucks, if it wasn't for my live stream dropping, I was actually going to be talking about some of that stuff because even chronic homelessness has doubled. It was 10%, now it's 20%.
Well, I was saying that there's going to be an issue when it comes to, and I mean, that's what I'm getting at also here is that you're going to see, like I said, Walmart is doing this. So, I mean, all these people are going to be fired. So you're going to have more homeless people. All right. You're going to have more homeless people when it comes to, the inability to ship packages and stuff. These people are going to get laid off, so they're going to run out of money. The Social Security thing, people are going to be laid off, get out of money. All of this stuff is connected.
Oh,
Every single bit of it.
Tesla's doing. Look what Tesla's doing. Elon Musk said that the first year or two of production of his robots, it's to go and replace all the automation in his warehouses.
But I mean, but see, that's the thing is, if we don't like how rich people are doing the things, then we need to make stuff that we can employ these other people and put them to work. I mean, it is not their responsibility. It is not their responsibility to employ us. That's the first thing we need to throw on the table. It is not their responsibility to employ us. It is not their responsibility to take care of us. When I see people sit on there and talk about, well, you're spending billions of dollars to go to fucking Mars, it doesn't matter. It's his money. It's absolutely every dime of his. He earned it. The same way with Jeff Bezos and everybody else. It does not matter. The thing is, if people are mad about the things that these billionaires are doing, become a billionaire and take care of the problem. That is, or you need to convince them to do so. But people don't need to slam them for the things that they want to do, the things that they feel they need to do, because it would be the same way as slamming us for the things that we do.
Let me be your devil's advocate then. Okay, so we've talked about the free market system, but in the I think the 1850s, Germany actually invents capitalism. Capitalism gets adopted here in the states in about the 1870s to 1880s. There's even corporate law where there was I can't remember the name of the case, but essentially that's where the corporate mandate for profit comes from, and this whole system was set up with he who has the capital makes the rules. Okay, so it used to be like our founding fathers, when you started a company, okay, it was actually ran a lot like a not for profit, and so it was there for the benefit of the community. The government's sole responsibility is to protect the resources of the local community so that they're not exploited and they're there for the benefit of the local community first. Okay, but this with globalism and all this and capitalism, all that stuff has gone to the wayside to where now it's become socially acceptable to do something that if our founding fathers saw it, they would roll over in their grave because they never expected corporations to do this. Like the Smith's Trading Company, their experience was when companies get big, they turn into Smith's Trading Company and then they all collapse anyways because they get too big. And so like when it comes to these oligarchs and stuff like that, they created a system that benefited them and then made it socially acceptable by convincing us that this is the way it's always been. And we forget that our local resources are our resources. Taking water from the Great Lakes to go sell it throughout the United States, even though the people say we don't want to commercialize our aquifer. That's their right, that's their resources, it belongs to the people first, and we've forgotten that. And that's why a lot of this stuff like what Jeff Bezos does is wrong, because he has figured out a way to exploit the system to where the federal government gives you food stamps, but yet you work full-time at Amazon. Okay, so he pays you just enough to
No,
where
no,
you can
I'm
keep
not
going.
talking. I'm not talking about the actual. Um,
It's the business practices
yeah,
are a
no,
reflection of the owner.
well, right, I understand that, but I'm not talking about the actual shit. Well, not the businesses, the business practices, or anything like that. I'm talking about their use of money that they have already earned. Yes, I am deeply concerned about how they have the ability to go in and take in profit off of taxpayers and the system in a way that they shouldn't. Like billion-dollar company, the same way with Musk and the same way with Bezos and you know all of the other ones I can't seem to think of right now, but they can make $1 zillion a year and not pay no taxes. I can make $100,000 a year and have to pay half of it. So I mean, that's the thing that's wrong. You
Well, hold on.
know,
No, it's not. Because here's why. Okay, it's capitalism. In the same way we talk about communism and it's proven, oh, it's not real capitalism, it's not real communism. People say that about like the whole the oh, capitalism is corrupt. No, actually capitalism is working exactly the way it's supposed to be. He who has the capital makes the rules. Those who make the rules don't want to be taxed, they want to tax everybody else and then blame them for not paying their fair share.
well, I know. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm saying what it doesn't feel right to me. I know the rules are doing what they're supposed to do, or they wouldn't be able to use them to their benefit. I mean, I,
Yeah,
I, I fully
and he's telling
understand
you.
that. I fully understand that. I'm saying is but the whole cornerstone of this conversation was I dislike how people, try to tell other people what to do with their money. And, it boils down to where, you have lines and lines of people who are in there that are, protesting these other individuals that have billions of dollars, and they go off and they do like Jeff Bezos. He just bought the Met. Okay, so people are like, well, why did he do that and everything else? He did that. He did that to appease his new wife, but that's another story. And plus, he who controls the Met controls the economics of Hollywood. But that's a whole other story, guys. So we're not doing that tonight. Um,
Well, hold on, hold on though. Do you think that Al Capone, the way that he got his money was perfectly fine, and so if he wants to spend his money on whores and blow, he can?
If he done it legally.
No, 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 no. It's all illegal. You know, it's his money. He can spend it however he wants.
If he done it legal.
Would you agree with Al Capone being able to say, okay, that's his money. He earned it. He earned it. You know, his way, and his
But now
family.
we're talking about Jeff Bezos and we're talking about Tesla here.
No, it's
It
still the same thing
no.
because
No, it's
Jeff
not the same
Bezos
thing
is
because
another.
because Al Capone was not was not selling packages for Chinese consumers and stuff like that. He was going around strong-handed and taking money. They're not the same.
No, he's robbing the whole country blind while they willfully give it to him.
How
That's the that's the
you tell
best
me
part about Al
you tell me how Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos is robbing people that walk in line to use their services. That'd be like saying Walmart is robbing you blind.
because they're big enough to where everywhere they go, they get paid to come in there. First of all, so now he's getting money from local government, tax write-offs, tax all this
That's
crazy shit.
capitalism. You just
Where
said that was
he pays his
fine.
people low enough.
That was
Hold on.
capitalism. You said that was
No, no,
fine.
no, no. This isn't
No.
capitalism. This is how is he a crook? This is how is he a crook? I'm showing you how he's a crook. He's a crook because he's stealing from the American people because he's paying his people little enough to where they have to go get food stamps, and they're ashamed of it because they're working full time and they gotta go get food stamps because Jeff Bezos wants to keep more money in his pocket because the corporate mandate is for profit, and so if he's not making his shareholders money, he can go to jail. And so this is like he's exploiting the system and robbing the U.S. Treasury for his own profit and gain. That's no different than a gas station
Well,
hustling.
then somebody needs to make laws to address that if that is whatever or however it is.
But you can't. You can't because in capitalism, he who has the capital makes the
There you
rules.
go. You go back to what you're saying about the laws. That's it. That's what I'm trying to say is if people want to do something about it, then they need to make that kind of money and they need to stand in line and they need to be the one. They need to be the next Jeff Bezos. They need to be the next Elon Musk. They need to be the next Trump.
You know what? When I was before I went to my first shelter, I was working a job, and the guy that was sitting next to me was a CEO, a former CEO of a Fortune 500 company. He built it up. It was part of the whole .com bust, and I asked him, you know, what it was like to be up at the top. He's like, look, man. You know, if you want to make it up to the top, you have no choice but to sell your soul, and you have to be willing to do that. And so there is no way to be able to change the system because the system is self-perpetuating. We sit there and condone what the rich do because we know one day if we were in the same situation, we would do it.
I mean,
And so therefore, when you condone
I
it,
have seen
when you
people change their
condone it, you're
stripes.
just as bad.
I have seen people change their stripes that have went up to the top. I have seen people that have done whatever. But then you have people who abuse it. You have people who have changed their stripes and they become these wild philanthropers. I can't even pronounce it. I don't know. You know, they become these individuals that give money to organizations freely that drive finance. I mean, not finance, but you know, there was that one woman that the billionaire that basically gave all of her money to the homeless. Who was it? She set up these foundations and things like that. Well, I mean,
Okay. Okay.
it didn't do her any good.
They have a moment of coming to Jesus. But here, let me tell you a story. At least, let's just we're gonna call this a hypothetical because you know why. Okay, so we're just gonna hypothetically say that this actually happened. Okay. The fucking what's the governor of Texas? What's his name?
Which one?
Oh God, I can't remember. Fucking wheelchair dude. Fucking
The one that looks like our past president. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no. The fuck. I can't.
Go ahead. Yeah. Just say
Shit.
Texas.
Oh, Abbott. Greg Abbott.
Yeah. Abbott.
Okay. Let's just say Greg Abbott changed his stripes and realized what he was doing was wrong. Okay. But Greg Abbott wants to be able to get out. but could he get out? If he does try and get out, those that are worried about, his loyalty or his ability to keep his mouth shut or to not be disruptive to their system, because he's got to be willing to walk away and not interfere whatsoever. Okay, he now has to worry about his life and his personal safety just to be able to get out of that situation, to the point where he is stuck cooperating even when he does not want to. So we can sit there and say that, yeah, some people, oh, they've made lots of money with their company, but there are the places where the changes really need to happen. Those that are having their coming to Jesus moment are scared of even coming to Jesus.
But I mean, like I said, this sort of deal, but we walk around, and I mean, I know it sounds like I am, supporting or playing the devil's advocate to billionaires or whatever. In a way, I am. I mean, I have always found it horrible and wrong for another human being to tell another human being what to do. I don't care how they did it or what they did it, because you found some way to do it, and now most of these people are telling you telling you what you should do with it. They're not telling you to give it back. They're telling you to go do something with it. They're telling you to do, whatever it is that they want you to do. Okay, and I mean these individuals. I mean, and let's not talk about Jeff Bezos. Let's talk about. But I mean, for the most part, when Jeff Bezos started out and everything, he was not robbing the system. He was working. He was working the system. He set up an internet thing in the same way that Musk did. Now Musk, as far as I know, I mean, he's not overworking. I mean, other than people, you don't have to be there.
Musk is who he is because he's got military contracts. He pretends to say "fuck you," but he can't really say "fuck you."
Well, I know, but we're not talking about the military contract. We're talking about we're talking about the bank account here, and what they do with their dollar, not how they make their dollar.
Okay, yeah, we can't call the blood on the money, but we could talk. But okay, gotcha.
Well, no, I'm just saying this. You're calling military contracts that everyone else in the world does and makes. I mean, that is just if that was the case now, if that was the case, 95% of the United States is employed by the United States government.
Yes, and here's the thing, though.
And there are people that working for the United States government that are getting food stamps.
He tries to portray himself as a savior of humanity by building the spaceships, by doing this whole ecosystem that he's building out. Like, if you really pay attention, he's building out an Elon Musk ecosystem. It's going to be just like Amazon and Walmart. Okay, those are going to be your three big competitors, and you got to figure out which ecosystem you want to be with over time, because over the next 20 or 30 years, this is, I think, how it's really gonna settle out.
Well, who would you rather do it?
Get the money for all that ecosystem to be able to save humanity. He's also participating in the destruction of humanity. So it's like I took your brother's life, so I'm going to put you through college.
I mean, that's the thing. It's going to happen regardless. Regardless if they do it, somebody else does it. The hell it won't. I mean, it will all happen regardless. We are on a path. People, I mean, that's basic human knowledge. I mean, me, you, anybody. When we pop out of our mamas, and after in less than 6 months we're walking. And then after we're walking, we're getting into stuff, and then on and on and on and on and on and stuff. And then by age 1, we're getting into trouble. Age 2, we're starting to get into things. And by the time we turn teenagers, we're stealing stuff. We're grabbing things. We're doing stuff. We're moving forward. We're trying to figure out. We're trying to figure out the hustle. We're trying to figure out the things that we need to do to make money and survive. We either are helping our family or we're leaving our family. But the idea and the principle behind that is we are moving forward. That's what humans do. We always will move forward. That's the reason everyone has this concept in their head that, you talk about on the grander scale. The earth is too small for us because we will have to leave, and we will eventually have to become a space-faring, civilization. Well, I mean, this is what's wrong with humanity. We are not happy with what we have. We have never been happy with what we have, ever. We want more. We try to figure out a way to do that, and we climb and go. If it's not Trump, if it's not Elon Musk, if it's not Biden, it is somebody who wants more. And we will figure out a way to do that. That is the same way with Hitler. That is the same way with the guy that runs Canada. That is the same way with the woman that's running Mexico now. They want more. They will always want more. And there are people that are behind them that want more. There's nothing you can do about it. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And I mean, well, how?
Okay, I think this is where a strong ethical foundation comes from. Okay, and my perfect example is this. Okay, because when you and I were raised, we got to listen to the story about the boy who cried wolf, right? Did you heard that growing up?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't see how that's going to affect the strong ethical.
So you heard the story the story. You know what? When we were young, we didn't scream or cry or anything else like that unless we were in danger, because we all were told we didn't want to be the boy who cried wolf. And so growing up, we were raised with that ethical standard. Okay, now they don't teach that in schools. And you know what? These kids come out. They're so damn loud, and they don't even.
I mean, you're talking about now, though. You're talking about now.
Well, no. I'm proving a point. My point is this: is that when you take away ethical standards, you have the degradation of society. When you impose ethical, not moral. Moral is religious. Fucking moral.
But you're talking about now. You're talking about now. You're talking about now. The people that are running the current game are our age or older. All right, the people that will be running the game. The people that will be running the game are the people you're talking about.
It still starts in the home.
Well, I know, but those people, the people that are running the game, are the same people who heard those stories. Are the same people, are the same people that are our age or older. Now, the people you're talking about, the people that don't know how to write cursive, or don't know, or don't have a 12th grade reading level, or whatever. These individuals, those are the individuals that will be running Congress one day. Those are the individuals that will be running our governments.
Rondo, Planet electrolytes.
Yeah, those are the people. But we are approaching that. We are at that gap, but we are not there yet. We will be. And the problem is, just like every other point in society and civilization, it doesn't matter about the moral ground. It doesn't matter about any of that, because the people that were smart enough to teach their kids, those kids will be the next Elon Musk. Those kids will be the next Jeff Bezos. Those kids will be the next evils that scourge the planet to incorporate their ideas that were perpetrated by their parents, or the things they learned on the internet as a child.
So therefore, you make the future better. Who cares about now? You're already living in now.
Yeah, you're not going to. Yeah, but you're not going to make that future any better. You're going to have to.
If you have a psychological reframe to start building strong ethical foundation in your family, ethical, not moral. Moral has to do with religion. Ethics is something completely different. And this it delves more in the area of philosophy than it does into religion. Okay, and so you have your strong ethical foundation, whether you're a Stoic or one of the other thought patterns or whatever. You can still buy, and then what happens is the next generation and the next generation, and 100 years from now, we've had several generations to where it's now propagated its way through, had a proper turning over, and then it makes the next few hundred. Because here's the thing, our civilization is going to live for millions of years. We've got to make changes now that may not see their fruition for 300 to 500 years, but it's important that we make these changes. And we're too busy expecting an instant result or a result within our lifetime. And we got to realize that making some of these changes, it's like planting a seed and letting it spread.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that would be, that is the basic general concept. And I get what you're saying, and I get what you believe, and I get what you understand. Okay, and I personally kind of believe it. I believe it myself. But the problem here, I'm trying to figure out how to word this where you understand it, and where everybody else understands it, is that, okay, you have. When you were going to school, how many people was in your class?
I don't know, probably 25 kids.
Okay, let's say there's 20. No, let's not do that. No, let's do it this way. How was it phrased to me? Okay, your go-to, your friends that were in school. How many did you have? Like 5, 10, something like that?
Fuck no, maybe 2.
Okay, 2. Okay, so you and them. You have 3 people. And let's say each one of those people have a different idea. And let's say each one of those people go on to do something great. Now, you might be friends, you might be whatever, but everyone has a different idea how they want to accomplish that. And let's say Billy was raised Muslim, and let's say John was raised Catholic, and let's say that Tuck was raised Mormon, and everyone's got their own little viewpoints about how, they're not taking their views, and they're not trying to push that on anybody, but these are the things that they were structured with. These are the things that they were taught. These were the beliefs that they were taught, that was embedded into them by their parents or their friends or whatever. Well, these are the things if you agree with when you become older, these are the things you're going to, carry with you and sell to whoever.
These are our religious characteristics.
Well, no, I know.
When you're doing an ethical characteristic, what you're doing is you're deciding right and wrong.
Well, no, I'm just talking about your behavior, your point of view. However it is, you're still going to do these things. I have not met any individual that once you break down and do a profile on them, there is not some distinction that they can't line up to their background. So I mean, you might say that this is this and this is this, but I still think that however you were raised, however you were grown. I mean, if this is the stuff that you were around, this is still part of your environment. This is still part of your nurture. So it's still going to have some influence about how you proceed and do things as an adult, unless you take that totally away. Now, if you take religion and stuff totally away, then we can discuss that. But I mean, you can't do that because it's there until it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
I mean, it's just there, though. I'm just saying, it's just there. Anyone that's being raised grows up, unless they come from a home that doesn't have religion or religious influence or or not taught by anybody that's religious, or not grown up around anybody that's religious, or anything like that. Any of those values, or let's say you ask, well, why do you believe this? And kids do these kind of things, and they'll say, well, my mom tells me I got to do this because, for God or whatever, or they, say some kind of parable, or whatever. I mean, I heard all kinds of stuff growing up. I'm just saying is those little crazy things affect you as a person. These are the whole makeup, the whole things of who and what we are. Now, me personally, I don't know. I hear stories about people, and we talk about like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and these other billionaires and gazillionaires or whatever you want to call it. Were you aware how many millionaires there are per state?
Probably about 40 or 50.
Around that. I mean, in my little town of like 8,000, there's like 20. And I mean, I'm just, it's mind blowing to me. I know growing up as a kid, you didn't have that kind of thing. These people didn't talk about it. $1 million back then would be like being a billionaire. I mean, it's like that's not a unachievable, goal for some people. Some people figured that out. They figured out the keys in the system and everything else. And I'm to the point where I need a cigarette because I've been running my mouth too long. Tuck, why don't you tell them where you're at, what you're getting ready to do, and some of the things that we're talking about off stream, and seeing if anybody has any interest in you seeing the Smithsonian and the other things. I'll be right back.
Okay. So, for those of you guys who don't know who I am Friar Tuck, and my audience calls me Professor Tuck. I have my own channel called the Epoch of Friar Tuck. If you want to come check me out, I talk about homelessness and survival, but I also have another channel called the Broke Critic. Where I do reviews on like haunted houses, tourist attractions, all kinds of stuff, gas station food, things like that. But we were talking about me being able to go and get something along the lines of like going to the Smithsonian, checking that out, maybe doing a review on the Smithsonian, going and doing, sitting down and talking with congressmen and congresswomen about about certain things that are going on in the country. So I generally cover the homeless issue. So that's going to be my main thing that I'm kind of thinking about as far as like what I want to accomplish. It's just to be able to sit down and talk with those that make policy, and sit with the interns and the chiefs of staff and stuff like that, and have an actual conversation with them about homelessness and their policies and how they're really not working or anything else like that. So I mean, that's kind of there's a lot of stuff to do in DC. Going to see like the Lincoln Memorial. I've been to DC before. I've been right next to the White House. I've actually got footage of the White House. Somebody, it's on my channel somewhere. If it's not on my channel, it's on my Patreon. So, but yeah, it's
Now, I just did a check. I just did a check out of curiosity. Tuck, can you see the moon right now?
No, it's still twilight.
The moon's here. I can see the moon. I can look up and I see the moon. It's over in the northeast area. And some of you might be able to see it, but if you look out there, you'll see the moon. It's a sliver of a moon, and right beside it you see Venus. Venus has been out there every night this week. It's going to be out there throughout the year, and that is the exact same same thing that the Mayans would have saw tonight, which is weird. I don't know. I looked it up.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
But because they believe in the how do you say it? The celestial lineup. They believe that, you know how Meyer was talking about the stepping stones, and I was talking about the other things that how they basically show the way of the Pleiadians and everything. You know that this is how they lined it up. This is how they described it to themselves. And now this is about CERN. I want to throw this out there. In 2012, now next month, if you mirror the months, and we had June coming along, there was an issue with a plane crash. There was the century's second and last transit through Venus, and there was a Chinese spacecraft. Now I'm sure the Chinese are going to try to launch again. And there was a leap in time. A second was added. They didn't expect that until that date. But then July come along. And in July, was it July? Yeah, July 4th, CERN announced the discovery of a new particle with properties consistent with the Higgs boson after experiments with the Large Hadron Collider. This is the one that went across the news, and they were talking about the God particle. Earlier this year, there was a new person that was over at CERN, and he shut it down. He said they were going to build this new ring and new centric circle and everything, and that CERN would not be back online this year. Wouldn't be back online next year. For some reason, and we don't know why, CERN decided to turn back on the rings this month. They decided that it was time for another experiment when they said that they weren't going to do one.
Maybe they made a big breakthrough.
Well, I mean, they according to the lead scientist and the guy that's overcharged of it. Now, see, we kind of like the majority. Now, see, CERN is not any of their research is not supposed to be used for military research. I mean, military research is not none of it's supposed to be for whatever. And oddly, they figured out a way to transport antimatter. They built a vehicle. There's like video of them moving this stuff around, and I got like video of the truck and inside and this crazy reactor, like a portable reactor. I mean, it's literally some of the same stuff that was in my story. I mean, it's wild and bizarre. But the thing here is, I believe we'll get another report from CERN in July. A lot of people believe when they did that, they received 2 signals back in 2012. Now this was official. There were scientists that went on record that says they found evidence of 2 universes. And the inquiry, whatever, went dead. So I'm wondering if they didn't purposely try to jump the timeline, and they're not going to do the same thing again. I mean, if you go back and you look through history, even with Windows, even with the Windows operating system, Windows 7, Windows 8, the way they're releasing stuff, the way they were talking about stuff, everything lines up. Everything we were doing on Mars, it lines up. All of this stuff lines up the same way, oddly, about 2012. And I'm wondering if we're not going to see, I don't know, this, if I'm right, this is going to be a bad year. Next year's going to be worse.
Oh, I think you might be right for different reasons.
I mean, like I say, I just see a pattern. I just see a consistent pattern. We seen, like I said, in 2012, this is when we started seeing all this weird stuff about the Mandela effect. We started seeing, this is when people started coming out and started talking about it. You know, if you don't know anything about CERN sits on a border in France and Switzerland, underground, 27 kilometers around, a ring, basically. And they're going to build it bigger. But like I said, they were supposed to be building it, but they decided to turn it back on. The Large Hadron Collider, the biggest, most expensive, most complex machine human beings have ever built. And why did they build it? To smash things, okay? They take particles, smallest things that exist, and they accelerate them to 99.999991 to the speed of light, and they smash them into each other to see what happens. You know, basically what happens is other particles, smaller particles, the universe opens up like a piñata, and out comes the Higgs boson, and which was found in 2012. And this is what's important, because it gives mass to the matter. The Higgs boson is why things exist the way they exist. Okay? They're the fundamental things of our universe. The fundamental concept of our universe. You know, they literally found the thing that makes existence work. You know, without that, we're not here. And now think about what happened in 2012. Think about your life in 2012. Think about the texture of the world in 2012. And ask yourself, does it feel continuous? Does 2012 feel like it at least smoother into 2013? Is there a seam? Is there a shimmer? Is there something you can't name?
No, I just remember Alex Jones talking about it, thinking it was interesting, going, yeah, no, the world's going to be here past. Because Meyer kept saying, yeah, it's not the end of the world.
Okay. You know, to some people, it doesn't feel normal. I know a woman, normal woman, absolutely, had a great job and everything else. I knew her. She woke up one day and was speaking another language and didn't know her husband or her children, which is bizarre to me. I mean, she didn't hit her head. Her husband didn't hurt her. And I mean, she went to doctors, and doctors didn't see anything wrong with her. She learned to like her situation, apparently. But I mean, and there's been other cases of this. You know, I grew up with the Looney Tunes. You grew up with the Looney Tunes?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm sure all of us did. But which version of the Looney Tunes did you grow up with? The Monopoly Man, Rich Uncle Pennybags. Did he have a monocle? Did you ever play Monopoly?
Mm-hmm.
Did the Monopoly Man have a monocle?
I think so.
You don't. You know, some people will say yes, some people will say no, but a lot of people are uncertain because, you know, uncertainty is data. You know, like with anything, you know, there's, like you said, there's stuff you remember that's not right or whatever. You know, it's you have a memory, you have a real yeah. And sometimes people, you know, misremember things. But if you look at the original box, there's no monocle. And a lot of people say you're confusing him with Mr. Peanut. And they'll say Mr. Peanut has a monocle and that you're confused. I didn't get confused with Mr. Peanut. I mean, I don't, you know, I understand memory is fallible, but there is some other stuff. What about Bernstein Bears? Do you remember that one?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh. I remember something about this. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Uh, the Bernstein virus. It was created by Stan and Jan Bernstein and published in 1962. It's one of the best-selling children's books series in American history. Bernstein. Does do you have how's it spelt to you? Do you remember how it was spelled, or was you trained on it? I mean, a lot of people remember it spelt with the E-I-N, but it's actually spelt with A-I-N. And when I read it, I read it with the A-I-N. My mom read me those books. My family read me those books. Bernstein, like Einstein, like Frankenstein. The Stein at the end. Not Steen, not Stein. And there's a lot of people who think the same way. And it drives them absolutely crazy. But anyway, I can go into that all day long, all night long, about things that doesn't make sense to people. And you can dig it up. You just go online, type in Mandela effect, and you'll see people post things over and over again about how they remembered this or how they remember that. There's even stuff on Fruit Loops boxes and candy and things like that that is just wild. But let's talk about the physics behind all this. A lot of people, this is how we kind of understand this. A lot of people don't like the quantum stuff, but so far we got to, though. It's about particles. Everything is about particles. Yes, particles. The computer we're on, the phones we're on, it's particles. Everything is particles, if you want to get technical about it. Now, quantum particles, the actual physics.
Paranoid?
Yeah.
I gotta tap out. My battery is under 20%.
All right, go ahead.
My power block is dead, so I will talk to you tomorrow when I get to camp.
All right, man. I'll be around. Give me a call.
Bye.
But anyway, we talk about the double slit experiment. You shoot particles, electrons, photons, through a barrier and two slits on the other side. You get an interference of pattern, waves interfering with each other. But here's the thing. You're shooting one particle at a time, one singular, and there's nothing to interfere with it. I wish I had the video. If you saw the video of this working, it is some of the most bizarre stuff. But anyway, you get a chance tonight, go type in double slot experiment and watch how they do it. I'm not sure if there's video on Paranoid Times, but you definitely can find it on YouTube. But anyway, the particle goes through both slits simultaneously. And on the opposite side, multiple states exist until something observes it. And then at that point, it collapses. This light knows that you can see it. Yes, there's a cat behind me. I don't know how you got in here. So now we need to talk about the many worlds interpretation. This is Hughes Everett, 1957, a Princeton graduate. I can't talk now. The quantum system is observed and collapses. It doesn't exactly collapse. Instead, the universe branches. Every possible outcome happens, and in one branch, the particle went left, and in another branch, the particle went right. Both branches are real. Both branches contain a version of you doing what you're doing right now. And in that world, you diverge from the quantum event to the other microscopic. Everett was laughed out of mainstream physics. He left academia. He drank too much and he died at 51. But he was right. That's one of the problems that we see in science. People who are right that are eventually validated in the work that they do and the things that they talk about and see are basically laughed out of schools and science and God knows what. And, maybe, just maybe, we should hear some of these people speak. If the many worlds theory is correct, I'm not saying it is, I'm saying if. Then there are infinite versions of the universe, infinite branches, diverging into a single a quantum event. Every moment, everywhere at once. And if those branches exist, they are somewhere in this configuration of space, the multiverse, whatever it is you want to call it. If you're a Marvel fan, you get it. Now, some of you guys have plants. I have a few, mostly outside. There's a plant out there. It's died when I brought it home. It's been dying for 3 weeks. I keep forgetting to water it. I'm sure in another timeline I remember to water that plant. In another timeline, I never bought this plant. In another timeline, the plant is thriving on my windowsill. And I am a completely different person. And I'm probably not doing this now. Maybe I'm asleep. Anyway. Think better, do better. Better is warmer. I'm just saying is that everything we're doing, the opposite of what we're doing now, someone else is doing. And that is kind of what I was trying to illustrate to Tuck earlier, that it doesn't matter what these people do. It doesn't matter what these rich people do, because probably one version of them is doing something else. The world's still going to spin around, and if they weren't doing it, somebody else is going to do it. We just need to figure out how to do it better. We just need to figure out how to, break the old values in the old system, and we need to, come up with a solution that meets our needs, not get a bunch of people mad and hope that we can change the minds of people who already earn their money that are set in decisions of what they want to do. Anyway. When CERN fired up the Large Hadron Collider, oh wait, sorry, I'm hot. There was public panic, genuine, widespread. There, maybe panic. People filed lawsuits. Physicists received death threats. There was actually prayer vigils. I don't know if you guys were out there. And someone wrote a novel about it. Of course, I wrote about it. The concern was a real concern, and it was held by people who were not crazy, that smashing particles with energies that might create, micro black holes and would expand and consume the Earth. The physicists said it wouldn't. The energies involved are actually lower than what a cosmic ray hitting us all the time. Kinda. The Earth will be fine. Physics will be fine. And they were right. The Earth was not consumed. But what if that was not the only risk? What if there was things we did not know about? What if the concern isn't destruction of our timeline, but it's displacement? Or change the timeline, or a divergence? What if somebody knew something bad was going to happen? Not that there were time travelers or anything else, but they actually understood the calendar. They actually understood the Mayan calendar, and they knew that this was going to happen. So right before it started, they decided to fire up and do this, creating a branch or some modification. I don't know. Something feels wrong about everything this year and last year. Something feels wrong about them talking about UFOs. Something feels wrong about the world in itself. I mean, you have massive, you have earthquakes that literally will not stop. We have a sun that is crazy angry right now, and it's not going to stop. We're entering another solar cycle, and they expect it to be bad. I thought the last one was supposed to be bad, but this one is supposed to be worse. I don't know. And it is, and like I said, with the high gas prices and the El Nino and these other things, I feel like we're entering into our own little apocalyptic dome. And I don't know if we're going to be able to get out of it. I don't know if we're going to be able to survive. I don't know if we're going to be able to have the power to run the things that we run. I don't know if we're going to be able to have the food to feed our children and our families and stuff like that. I mean, I can see a very, very bad world ahead of us. And there's no government on this earth that's going to be able to help us. Now let's get personal with this. And this is where it all goes eventually. My grandmother. Before I knew about CERN, before the internet gave me a vocabulary, she called it the shimmer. She grew up in Eastern Europe. She's seen enough actual history to be unsentimental about it. But she would sometimes get this look in her face, halfway through a sentence, halfway through a meal, and go somewhere else for a moment. And when she came back, she would say in her accent that never quite left, the shimmer. I asked her once what it meant. She thought about it for a long time. And she said, sometimes things remember themselves differently. She wasn't talking about CERN. She wasn't talking about quantum mechanics. She was talking about specific experiences in the living world that keep not quite matching the world that you remember. Where the seams show, where there's cracks. I inherited that, I think. The noticing, the shimmer. And I believe some of you may have inherited that as well. If you look beyond everything and you look for something special, you notice something is strange or it's a little off or it feels different, that's the shimmer. My father used to say, we don't have to get into it at all. But my father used to say, he had this phrase that he repeated, the world is not the problem. Your expectations are the problem. And that is the same thing I would have told Tuck. He has expectations of the individuals in power, just like everybody else. The world itself is not the problem. The way people are behaving is not the problem. Your expectations are the problem. The world is going to behave as it always behaves, and it's going to go on. Which is the thing people say when they want to dismiss the fact that things are different than they are or were. We try to come up with things and solutions for other people to take accountability and whatnot. And the reality is that we live in our own world, and everybody lives in their own world, and we're just here. We have to accept what we have and if we need to, if it's bad enough, we need to break through. We need to go and find something else to do. You know, I spent a long time believing him, adjusting my expectations, smoothing over the shimmer, being a reasonable person who understands that my memory is not fallible, that nostalgic distorts, that the past wasn't actually better. I just can't see it clearly because I was young and protected from things. I am not protected from them now. I'm not protected from the things that I was now. Okay? How I saw the world, how I felt the world. You know, the kid that was stealing cigarettes out of his mom's cookie jar and running outside and smoking is not the same guy now. I mean, I can afford my own cigarettes. And I can afford my own food. My mom's gone. Everybody in my family's gone. And, you know, I'm left here to watch and worry and wonder and see all this stuff as it changes. You know, I wonder what the people that I knew back then would think about the things now. You know, I wonder if I'll live tomorrow. I wonder if we'll talk tomorrow. There's thousands of things that go through my mind every night. And I'm sure there's thousands of things that go through your mind every night. But one or two or three or four of those things are the most important things. You need to grasp onto them and hold on to them and think about those things. Anyway, enough of my preaching. There's a special kind of wrongness that I notice sometimes. Not nostalgic, not grief. Something more structural. Like a note that's slightly flat. Like a book where the chapter's number jumped from 5 to 7. And you go back and check and there's no chapter 6. There never was. You don't know if the chapter was missing or you dreamed it. And what do you do with that? Here's what I actually believe. And I want to be careful here because I'm not a physicist and I hope at least I'm not a crank. Or I'm a crank, but I'm an honest crank, I guess. And I don't want to tell you that I have scientific proof for something I don't have scientific proof for. That's what this whole thing was about. So here's what I actually believe. The universe is stranger than our models of it. The things that they tell us that how our universe is. I mean, we don't know exactly, like we have a model of Mars. We have a model of the sun. We have a model of the moon. I mean, we've been to the moon, but we've not, we've had robots that go to Mars. But we absolutely don't know what's up there. We don't know everything about it. We have models of space, but we don't know how these things work. We do not understand the physics here or there. We do know that once the further you get away from Earth, the stranger the physics get. So what works here does not work out there. So what works at CERN does not work in space. You follow? I hope. Anyway, human consciousness is stranger than our models of it. So when those astronauts went around the moon, their consciousness was different from the consciousness they had here on Earth. So basically, when they went around the moon there, they sort of went out and come back again. It would be interesting to talk to them about the things that they remember and that they understand. Because I bet some of the stuff is different from what they observe now. Memory is not a recording, it's a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, you rebuild it from fragments. And the fragments can shift, and sometimes they shift in the same direction for a lot of people all at once, and some don't, and we don't know why. And maybe that's the whole explanation. Maybe that's the thing with the bears that I read that I was read to 10,000 times as a kid. Maybe it was some kind of weird mess up in my neural pathways, or maybe it was something else. Or maybe we are very occasionally, rarely, in ways it's too small to measure, because they happen like this, sliding through different versions of the universe. Close enough that you wouldn't notice anything dramatic. Different enough that sometimes cartoon families, spelling wrongs, and a billionaire lost his monocle, or a man dies in prison you never knew. But what I'm saying is maybe something worse happened. Maybe something changed. And maybe something that did change is coming back and starting to happen again. My grandmother's shimmer. Yeah, I've been thinking about it differently lately. She lived through the war. She lived through displacement. The specific experience that returned to the place, where you're home and you find that you no longer recognize you. You no longer recognize it. The streets were the same, the buildings were the same, but something had changed. She built a life anyway, a good one, in this world, with these streets and whatever version of the things that it was. She didn't need the shimmer to resolve. She just needed a name for it. Sometimes things remember themselves differently. Sometimes things remember themselves differently. Maybe we remember things differently because we've already lived through it. And for the life of me, I feel like we're about to experience something bad. Anyway, I hope you have a good night. I hope you're all well and doing good. I know it's 1:35. I normally run to 2 o'clock. But I got to talk to the kid and do some other things. We will be on tomorrow night, or I will be on tomorrow night. I'm not sure which. And I hope you come along for the ride. Good night, everybody. Stay paranoid, my friends, and God bless.